What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. In today's episode, I've got my beautiful garden helper in the garden with me today. And can you tell them what we're going to be doing today?
Planting potatoes.
That's right, we're going to be planting potatoes. So I am just so happy to be out here in the garden today. The weather's absolutely beautiful. It's about 70 degrees and the sun's kind of popping in and out of some clouds. So that's always a welcome thing because it's just nice to be feeling the warm sun finally after such a long stretch of cold weather. So we are going to be planting potatoes and we're a little bit late, aren't we?
Yeah.
Just a little bit late, right?
And Daddy had to yell about all that noise, so...
It was pretty noisy. It was definitely pretty noisy. Yeah, this is about take 3 of trying to get this intro out because there's people mowing their lawns and people taking their motorcycles out for the first time, and it's life. You just got to live with it. But it's not so good for audio, is it?
Yeah.
All right. So, but we're here. We're planting potatoes, and we're a little bit late because we're usually about 3 weeks earlier than this to get our potatoes in the ground. But one of the things is we couldn't find potatoes. Mrs. MIgardener found these locally, the ones that we're going to be planting today, but all of our favorite sources were sold out. So we didn't really have the luxury of being choosy and picking the varieties we normally like, and we've grown and are very reputable. And we also didn't really have the choice to be choosy with quality either. It was like, hey, you've got potatoes, let's take them. So, Geneva, do you want to tell them what we're going to be planting today? Okay.
Potatoes.
Well, I know. They know we're going to be planting potatoes. Do you know the variety? This one's called a russet gold rush.
Gold rush.
It's called a russet gold rush.
A russet gold rush.
Yeah, so we've never grown this one before, but this is a russet variety, and super happy about that. Just a nice kind of baking potato. This one, do you know what this one's called? It's called Blue.
Blue.
Yeah, so this is a purple variety potato called Blue. Never grown this one either, but we have grown a variety called Purple Majesty. I'm assuming it's going to be fairly close to that, but just some good purple potatoes there. And then this is, do you know what variety this is? Kennebec.
Kennebec.
Yeah, so this is Kennebec variety. And Kennebecs are just your all-around best potato. They're good for baking, they're good for boiling, mashing, turning into French fries, potato chips. Such a versatile potato. And so what do you say? You want to help me out?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I love your gloves.
Yeah.
They're super cool.
Yeah.
You want to show the camera? Those are awesome. They fit. They actually, wow, those are really cool. Those are awesome. So you've got your gloves.
Mm-hmm.
We got our potatoes.
Yeah.
And I think that's all we need, right?
We're ready to plant.
We're ready to plant. All right, let's go. You left me hanging. You left me hanging. Where's my high five? All right, let's go. So a lot of people ask how we plant potatoes and whether or not we put them in a potato barrel and hill them up super high, whether we put them in a trench and then hill the trench as the potatoes grow, or whether we just do what's called shallow planting, where you basically put them right on the surface and then you mulch on top of them. Now, I will say that we have kind of our preference, and our preference is kind of a hybrid. So what we really like to do is we like to dig a trench, but not actually a trench that's super deep. We like to actually rely on very fertile, loose soil so that our trench only has to be about 6 inches deep. Then what we'll do is we will cover the potatoes up, basically level everything flat, and we'll let the potatoes grow. And if need be, we'll come back and mulch, but generally, because the soil is so loose, the roots go down and the potatoes form below the soil level rather than above soil level. If the soil were like harder, you typically get that where the potatoes kind of come out, they mound out throughout the soil, and then they're exposed to sunlight. Also, we plant in what's called high intensity, and high intensity is a method that we absolutely love, where you plant your plants much closer together. You fertilize your soil very well, you have very loose, fertile soil, and it allows you to grow closer together so that basically the potato plants, when they grow, will act as kind of a natural shade or a mulch, so that even if we do have a few potatoes that kind of pop out, those are covered up from foliage. So really love this. And so it's kind of a hybrid between almost like a Ruth Stout a shallow planting, and a trench method, kind of a hybrid of those three. But it's just kind of what works best for us, and that's, you know, what I always recommend you do as well, is find what works for you, because you never really know what's going to work best until you try it, and you might have to try 2 or 3 methods until you find something that really works. So that's what we're going to do. All right, you want to help, Geneva? Okay. So I'm going to dig the trench, and then you can plant the potatoes, okay?
And have any more. I'll put one right there.
There you go.
Right there.
Nope, no, no. See, the one across from it?
Oh, here.
Yep, there you go. Good job. Here you go.
One right there.
There you go. Remember, green tips facing up. A little further, a little further. Good job. All right, now come over to this side. Okay, honey, can you plant some more potatoes, please?
Sure.
Make sure they're in a line. Good job. Perfect. You're starting to really get the spacing down.
Get this big one.
Nice. Yep. Can you get the space? Your spacing is so good, Geneva. So good.
Daddy,
Yep. Now run around to the other side and plant the other ones.
I'm gonna get this huge one. There we go.
Good job.
And put it back.
Do you like planting potatoes?
Yeah, you bet I do.
Okay, come on. Let's plant this other one here. Good job.
There we go.
Like anything with kids, you start out with 100% attention and it fades very rapidly. So we're just gonna wrap this up here and get the rest of these planted. But it's always really fun to plant a garden out with your kids, and they don't do everything perfectly. They don't do everything exactly how you'd want. Sometimes things get pulled that aren't supposed to get pulled. Sometimes things get picked prematurely that aren't, you know, fully ripe. But at the end of the day, that's really part of the learning process that you just kind of have to understand and be patient and you know, just kind of roll with, because we all have to learn at some point. And so it's just really fun. It's a blessing to be out here with my family. So we're gonna get the rest of these planted up here, and then we might actually plant. I'm gonna plant the blue potatoes in containers this year. Now the reason why I'm gonna do that, number one, because we have so many seed potatoes that I really want to maximize our harvest this year, but also because the blue potatoes, when they're in the ground, they're actually kind of difficult to find. The younger potatoes, when they're old like this and they have kind of this dry skin, it's very easy to identify what a potato is. But when you pull that fresh potato out of the ground, it has not cured yet. And so the skin is very tender. It's not very miscolored, or discolored, I should say. It doesn't have this kind of dusty, kind of faded color to it. So when you pull it out, it's really hard to identify what's like a clod of soil, what's a potato, where the potatoes are at. And so I actually prefer to plant the blue potatoes in containers. They're just so much easier to, work with your hands and just dump the entire thing out. So that's gonna be fine, because we're gonna plant the Kennebecs and then the russets, basically half a bed of Kennebecs and half a bed of russets, and then we'll do a few containers of the purple potatoes. And so yeah, but I'm gonna turn the camera off, get the rest of this planted up here. Alrighty, so we're just wrapping up here, and I'm just filling in the trenches. And this basically means that the potatoes are going to be about 6 inches under the ground. And then when they grow up, they're going to hopefully shade each other out. If they need a little bit of mulch, we'll put some mulch down. You can really use anything. People use straw. I don't prefer to use straw because it brings some weed seeds into the garden and it doesn't really break down as fast. I prefer to use semi-finished compost, because then at the end of the season, when you harvest your potatoes, the semi-finished compost just kind of continues to break down and turns into garden soil later. So you really don't have to work around it too much. So that's my preferred method. If I don't have any of that, I'll use things like mulched up leaves or even grass clippings. Now, the last question I always get asked, and it's funny that I always get asked this, but people always ask about the story about this this rake here. You know, why I don't just buy a new one? Why am I using a rake that's all wrapped up with duct tape? And it's because I inherited this from my grandpa. My grandpa brought this over. He was working in the garden, and he left it here. And I asked him, I called him up. I said, "Hey, you left your rake here," and he said, "You know what? You don't have a rake, I'll let you have it, and just use it. And if you want to buy a new one when you're ready, buy it." And so I just constantly use this, and it's a well-used rake. It's a well-used rake, but I cannot stand to. I might rehandle it at some point. You know, it's an old Ames rake, probably from, who knows, 1960s or so. But this thing's been well loved, well used, and clearly it's been in a lot of gardens. So I just kind of leave it as an heirloom, and I'm never going to throw it out, that's for sure. But I might rehandle it at some point because it is a little worse for wear up top, but it's nice and it does the trick. So, but it's funny, a lot of people ask that. A ton of people ask that. In fact, it's probably the most frequent question that we get asked whenever this rake comes out is, why are you using that old rake? And so that's why. So there we go, we're all done, and just got everything covered up here. We're gonna water everything in, and then as the potatoes start sprouting, we're gonna throw down some fertilizer. Now, we did fertilize the soil with trifecta in the beginning of the year. We always kind of re-amend and remineralize, but as the plants grow up, potatoes are a very heavy feeder, and so we wanna make sure we follow up with a second fertilizing of trifecta, and that way they're just gonna really kick them into high gear, kind of get that tuber production going. And especially because we're a little bit late, I want to make sure that they grow nice and fast and they're nice and healthy. So we'll do that, and that's honestly it. We'll just kind of monitor them as they go. If they need mulching, we'll do that, but we should be fine. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all learned something new. I definitely had a lot of fun. And Geneva, did you have fun? I got a thumbs up, so that means I did well. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll catch you all on the next episode. All right, go big or go home, everyone.